I just wanted to sort of say one quick thing, really, which is I don't know how you guys feel, but for me, it's so great to see so many familiar faces and familiar names for those that don't have their own cameras on. There are days where I genuinely struggle when I'm not having those interactions with people, and I'm not having that opportunity to engage because it's something that I thrive off. And when we see yesterday the new rules coming from the Prime Minister and the government, and seeing how these things might affect people out there, I just wanted to reiterate the point that the business cluster is I'm here for everybody, recognising that it's affecting people and businesses in different ways depending on what type of business you are. So please always feel that you can reach out to us, be that people in the team like Hazel and John, or the board members. You might have seen recently we've been doing extra social media around who the board members are and how you might contact them. So please feel free to reach out at any point. If you just want to have a chat, whether it's something serious or actually you just want to have a chat, then I definitely say, please reach out to us and take that opportunity. So without further ado, I'll just like to now hand over to our speakers and thank our speakers for supporting us, for continuing to engage. It's massively appreciated. And although I don't have the agenda in front of me, I think our first speaker is Emma-Jayne Gooch. Love to hand over the floor to Emma-Jayne. Thanks very much.
Oh, thanks, Ivan. So just while I do my screen share to show you some slides, I actually feel super emotional being here today. It seems an absolute lifetime ago that I was in my old role speaking to you. In fact, the last time I spoke to you was the day before I could announce my new appointment. So it's actually really so lovely to be back and see so many familiar faces. So thank you so much for having me. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Emma-Jayne Gooch. Nearly gave my wrong job title. I am Chief of Staff to Martin Chown, our CEO at Sellafield. And since April, when I took over in the position, I've been working on our manifesto. And I wanted to share it with you because I know you guys are always really interested in what's going on at Sellafield, and it will affect the supply chain as well. So it's important that we share this information with you. So I'm just going to go through what our manifesto is, what it means to us, how we came up with it, and then share it with you. There will be an opportunity to ask some questions at the end. So what is a manifesto for Sellafield? So a manifesto, if you Google it, because that's what everyone does when you want to know what something is, it says it's a published declaration of the motives, views, intentions, motives, or views of the issuer. Now, what this is for Sellafield, it doesn't just reflect one person's view. What it reflects is over 400 people at Sellafield who have worked together to come up with the business they want us to become. So what is it? It's a simple single-page document. It sets out the behaviours that we expect from our people. It's very clear. It's relatable to everyone, regardless to where they sit in our organisation or where they sit in the supply chain. I think it's really key to say at this point that our manifesto isn't just for people that are employed by Sellafield. Our manifesto is for everyone that is helping us deliver our mission and our purpose, which I will also come on to. So what isn't it? So it's not political in any way. It's nothing to do with politics. It's not 700 pages, and it's not a set of promises or commitments. It isn't another initiative. Sellafield has initiative ideas, one after the other after the other. We get very excited about lots of shiny new things and never embed them. And that is something that isn't going to happen here. And it isn't in any way negative. So how does the manifesto fit with everything else at Sellafield? And I think that's really important to help people understand. So the manifesto and the purpose that the manifesto outlines is the golden thread that runs through every document and everything that we do at Sellafield. So it feeds into our Sellafield Enterprise Strategy, which is due for re-release in November, and it goes down into all the other plans that sit beneath it. It is our golden thread. So how did we come up with it? Well, we listened and we listened and we listened some more. I've been super busy and having a number of one-to-one sessions and running upwards of 20 workshops. We engaged with over 400 people, and these were from all grades in our organisation. It was really, really important to me. Anyone that knows me knows how important it is to me to make sure that everyone has a voice, that everyone's included. No one is more important than everybody else, and everyone has that equal right to say what they feel. So we really engaged with lots of different people. And each of the workshops and the sessions, we covered, what the manifesto was. We talked a lot about the different behaviours that people currently see or have seen at Sellafield. We spoke about what behaviours we would like to see and how we should engage with the business. And we got some really positive feedback about these workshops and the fact that people felt that they had a voice for the first time. So here's what we heard about the culture of Sellafield. And I think it's really important to share this with you because I've had lots of conversations in my previous role and in fact in my role before that where I called out some of these behaviours and cultures that we saw at Sellafield. So what I'm going to show you now, I think it's really key to say that these things weren't just said once. If they make the list, they were said more than once, and we haven't determined whether they were good, bad or indifferent. It's how they were put to us. So things that were good. This is what our people, and I'm saying our people, our supply chain was involved in this too. So we did run a couple of workshops purely for our supply chain. So very focused on our people because it is people centric, but we also brought our supply chain in and spoke to people who are actually embedded in our organisation from our supply chain to get their views. And I'm just going to pull out a couple here. So one thing they said is that we're really crisis capable, and I think COVID has certainly shown that. When we have a crisis, when there is something that needs to happen, we get it done. We pull out all the stops, we remain that safety, but we're really crisis capable. And I think another thing that we can say about Sellafield is we're very safety conscious, and we're very proud of that, and that won't change. Safety has to always be our number one priority. So the next ones I'm going to show you, they're not good, they're not bad, they're just the way things are. And a couple that I'll pull out from here is that we are complex. No matter how you look at it, Sellafield is a very complex site with lots of different things going on. And we're also very unionised. That's not good, that's not bad, it's just the way it is. So those of you that have good attention to detail will see there's loads of white space left. So these are the bad things that we heard. And it was really important that people had the opportunity to share this with us. And again, I'm just going to pop out a couple for these for you. So one of the things that we heard, and I've heard this external and internal, is that we're tribal stroke siloed. And we've all talked about how it's very siloed, how it's very tribal, how you have an individual area, and for a supply chain perspective, you may well be able to get work with that certain area, that certain place, but then you can never get into any of the other areas, and they don't seem to speak to each other, and they keep it for themselves. And that's very much an external and internal characteristic that we see. People are very, very proud of their area, and they don't necessarily see the enterprise-wide view. And another one that came up, which is really important to highlight because it is a priority of ours, of Martin's, and that is invisible leadership. So our people felt that within Sellafield, the leaders were not visible and weren't strong at leading. So that's something that we certainly know that we need to improve on, and visible leadership is and will remain a priority for Martin, the exec, and the leaders within our organisation. So it was great that we heard all these things about the characteristics, but again, a lot of you know me, it's all well and good people bringing me problems, but what I want is solutions. So what do we do about it? What are the behaviours that we wanted to see at Sellafield? So here are some of the behaviours that came up from our engagement sessions that people said they wanted to see as behaviours and a culture that is embedded at Sellafield. You'll notice that safety and security aren't included in those boxes. That's not because they're not important, it's because they are a given. The other ones are the softer side, the culture, the behaviour that we're trying to change. So, another thing that the manifesto gives us is a purpose. Now, I know we've got Diana on, who's a big Simon Sinek fan, and I'm sure many of you else on the line are too. It's something that's really, really important to me, and that is the why. Any of you that don't know, the why is the part of the brain that's your gut feel. You know it's not right, but you can't explain why. It just doesn't feel right. It's that feeling part. And people don't connect with what you do, they connect with why you do it. And a strong purpose allows people to emotionally connect with what their business is doing, why they're coming up to work every day, and the difference that they're making. It builds pride and passion, and it gives a sense of identity. It makes people feel they're part of something. And I will say currently, but it's not current because we've launched it now, but historically, we haven't had that. We haven't had a purpose, and we need a purpose that's relevant, aspirational, and most importantly, actively embedded in every single thing that we do as a business. So here is our manifesto, and I'm just going to speak it through to you. And I'm speaking it. I always speak quickly anyway, but I know that Hazel's going to be very cross with me if I don't keep the time. So, really, really important. This isn't by coincidence. We are Sellafield Limited. Our purpose is creating a clean and safe environment for future generations. And I just want to pick a couple of things out of this because I am super, super proud of this purpose. And it actually gives me goosebumps when I say it because it can mean so much to so many different people. So when you think about creating, to actually be part of something, to know that you're contributing to something that is being created really gives that emotional connection. Environment can mean so much to so many different people. Environment can mean the environment in which you work, or your office or the site. Environment can be the communities in which we operate, but the environment can also be the bigger environment such as our carbon zero, sustainability and that type of stuff. So it can mean so much to so many different people. And future generations, who better to do it for? Your children, your grandchildren, your grandchildren's children. We're here for a long time. But not only that, it can mean the apprentices, the graduates, about bringing new people, fresh ideas, young people through into our business. Now, you'll also see, actually, before I do the behavioural themes, I'll do the wraparound line, which is very, very important as well. And that's we are nuclear professionals in everything that we do. That has been something that we've said for many years. It remains, it's our focus. The 9 behaviours that we want to see on the Sellafield site, remember this is aspirational. This is not how we currently are. This is how we want to be. The first one is we value each other. And I'm just going to give a little bit of meat behind each of these. I think they speak to themselves, but some people need that little bit more detail. So we value each other. That's about respecting what everyone does in the team. And it's about being open and transparent. So we are one team. This is about all understanding that they contribute something important to what the site is here to do. I really, really love NASA, Man on the Moon. When the cleaner was asked, what are you here to do? And he said, I'm here to put a man on the moon. And that's what we want for Sellafield. When someone is asked, whatever their level, grade within the organisation, whether they're an operator, whether they're paying the bills, whether the CEO, we want them to know that they are creating a clean and safe environment for future generations and they're part of one team. And again, one team is about working everyone working to the same outcomes, the same goals. So we make a difference. This is about recognising and accepting when we get things wrong and learning from it. And it's also about understanding that we are all responsible for the organisation's performance. We're kind and respectful. This is about being able to give honest and constructive feedback and about knowing that each and every interaction we have matters. Performing with passion, pride and pace. You will hear Martin speak loads about this. This is about working with pace to deliver on our commitments, and this is about being persistent and resilient. We are clear on what we're here to do. So this is about understanding how what we do fits with the purpose, and it's about trying to find improvements in how we do things. We care about our community environment. This is about recognising and considering the importance of Sellafield in the areas in which we operate. And it's also about our commitment to sustainability in everything that we do. We trust and hold to account. This is about taking responsibility for our own actions. And it's also about holding ourselves and others to account. And then finally, my favourite, we appreciate and celebrate achievements. This is about recognising the importance of our people, and it's about thanking people for their contribution. And again, when I say our people, I don't just mean Sellafield people, Sellafield employees, but people that are helping us deliver our purpose. So what I love about our manifesto is that it is led from the top. So here is our exec, and in fact, I'll go through the names of them because some of you might know them and some of them are new to you. So our purpose is owned by Martin Chown, our CEO. He is personally working to ensure that we are creating a clean, safe environment for future generations. It is embedded in everything that we do in Sellafield. Every piece of documentation that we release is linked to this purpose. Alison Armett, who's our interim enterprise director, she is leading on We Value Each Other. Now, when I say leading, this does not mean that they're just role modeling behaviours, which is obviously extremely important. But what they'll be doing is they'll be working with a team of change makers that we're recruiting, again, right across our organisation through all different bands, all different areas, who will be working with the exec to tell them whether they feel that this behavioural thing is being embedded. If they don't feel it is, we'll be asking them to come up with solutions as to how we embed it, what we need to do, and to hold ourselves to account when things aren't working and looking at how we make them work. Steve Bostock, site director, is We Are One Team. We Make a Difference is Andrew Carr, who's our legal and company secretary. Gaynor Prest, We Are Kind and Respectful, is our new HR director. Ewan Hutton, our chief nuclear officer, we perform with passion, pride and pace. Susan Lussum, which is where you guys will be interested, is our new supply chain director. She will be coming to speak to you, I believe, in December. And she is sponsoring We Are Clear on what we're here to do. That's the one that she's taking responsibility for. Mark Neat, our Director of Environmental Safety and Security. He is We Care About Our Community and Environment. John Seddon, our Finance Director, We Trust and Hold to Account. And Neil Crudson, our Interim Projects Director, is We Appreciate and Celebrate Achievements. And then finally, last but not least, we are nuclear professionals and everything we do is Rebecca Weston, who is our COO. So these are really, really important behavioural themes that we want to embed at Sellafield. If every single person looks at this and decides to change their behaviour and holds themselves to accountable to be account for them, we will make a cultural change at Sellafield. So what does it mean to supply chain? So, as I said, everyone working on our mission is creating a clean and safe environment for future generations. So thank you all for what you do in helping us to do that. We expect everyone who's working on our mission, which is also delivering our purpose, to behave as outlined in the manifesto. So we want to see people who are working with us to be behaving the way the manifesto states. However, what we won't be doing is be pushing it out into the supply chain and saying you now have to comply. And the reason for that is this is the culture we want to build for Sellafield, for our business. And we're really mindful and respectful that you guys have your own cultural requirements within your own organisations, and you have different perhaps behaviours or values that you may follow. So whilst we would ask you to recognise it and become part of it, this isn't going to be something that's going to have KPIs or reporting. It's just a new way of working at Sellafield to really embed the behaviours to make that well-needed cultural change. I never take on anything that's easy. I've been told that I will never make it happen, but I've got this far, so I'm quite pleased, and I don't give up. So this is a really exciting time for Sellafield. We're on an absolutely fantastic cusp of something brilliant here, great leadership, and enabling us to be the business that we want to become. So that was all I was going to say. I think I have time for questions. So does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask?
Thank you, Emma-Jayne. Oh, someone's mic's just come on, perhaps. Yes, there are a couple of questions. Just before we go into questions, just to let everybody know that there will be networking later on in today's session as well. So there will be that opportunity for 15 minutes networking and that sort of more intimate conversations. And obviously we've got 3 more speakers and a 3x3 before we get to that stage. But we have indeed got some questions, and I'm going to start with Michelle. Michelle, you had a question. Do you want to unmute your mic?
Yes, hello. It's Michelle representing Creative Solutions here. Hello. My question to Emma-Jayne was you talking about this overall theme of leadership being more visible, being more proactive. My question to you is, how will leadership proactively incorporates diversity and inclusion with this new manifesto? What key action points do you have? And when I mean diversity and inclusion, I mean all aspects of identity here.
Yep, that's a great question. Thank you very much. So the manifesto sets out the behaviours that we are looking for. Obviously, a piece of paper on its own doesn't make a difference. It is just a piece of paper. So what we're also going to be having coming this year, which is currently working on and being brought to the fore, I think November, December time, is a leadership standard. Now, the leadership standard is actually a one NDA initiative. It's being, Sellafield have been very instrumental into the creation of it, but it's going to be the same leadership standard across all of our SLCs under the NDA. So it's the first time we've done this, so it's very, very unique. And that really pulls on the key things that are important in leadership. For me, the manifesto gives the mindset, and the leadership standard will give the skill set. We also are very, very passionate about ED&I. We have an EDI focus, which is built into everything that we do. Our new HR director, Gaynor Prest, who joined us, I think probably about 2-3 months ago now. Obviously, that's something that falls into her area and something that she's working on very closely too. So I guess in answer to your question, if everyone behaves the manner in which we want in the manifesto, if everybody leads with the skills we give them, EDI won't become something that we have to do extra. It will just be embedded in our everyday.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
That answers your question, Michelle?
Yes, thank you.
Great stuff. Okay, let's move on to a question from Kath Howard.
Hi, Emma-Jayne. It was really about the cultural change. It takes time, and with such a large employee group, how are you going to cascade these behaviours down, and how are you going to encourage employees to adopt them, and the timescale that you're hoping for?
Yeah, again, a great question. Thanks, Kath. So, you're very, very right. Cultural change takes time, certainly in such a large, complex organisation like ours. So realistically, we're looking at probably 12 to 18 months before we really start to notice a change. However, what we are doing is this isn't just a launch and then a draw. So this is an ongoing message. So we started drip feeding the manifesto before it even launched to make sure we had that interest for people. Within our workshops, one thing that we have as a real problem at Sellafield, but also an opportunity, is that there's a certain group of our employees that we really struggle to be able to engage with. So we have people who work as operators and so forth on our shop floor who don't have access to computers. The majority of the way that we communicate with people is through our intranet and through emails. These people aren't picking up on them. The way that messages are currently cascaded at Sellafield is very hierarchical, which is something that doesn't sit well with me. The CEO will give the message to the top 160, who will then give the message to the next, who will then give it to the next. So the time our Band 5 community, our people who are actually doing the work, get the messages, it's so diluted without any passion, and that's why things have failed in the past. So what we're doing is we're changing the way we communicate with people. We actually, in the workshops, we asked our people, how should we be communicating to you? What else should we be doing? So our manifesto, and some of you will think it's ridiculous, but if you go into the urinals at Risley, you will see in front of every urinal our manifesto. It's going to be posters. It's posters everywhere. It's WhatsApp groups. I've got a WhatsApp group of over 150 people who actually trusted me with their personal numbers so that they could share messages out with all their WhatsApp groups. We are building a group of change makers. We've already had, again, it's something about the 150 number, we've already had 150 people put themselves forward to volunteer to be a change maker. This is across all levels of the organisation, all areas, and what they will do is they'll talk to people, they'll find out if people know about the manifesto, they'll find out which parts are working and which aren't. They'll then feed that back into the executive. Our governance, I've switched. So we're not going down, up, we're going up, down. These people are going to them and saying, this is what you need to do. These are the things that we need to change. And we've never done that at Sellafield before. It's always been the other way around, us saying, you must do this, you must do that. but it's going to be something that is a slow process. We're going to continue to run workshops each month. Each month we're going to push forward a different theme. And so each month that theme will have workshops so people can come in and talk to us about it, tell us why it's important, why it's not. But we also have to be mindful that some people will come on the journey with us. Hopefully a lot of people will come on the journey with us, and some won't. And for me personally, I find that really hard because I want everyone to love everything that I love. But I would rather put my energy into those that want to make a difference, and almost push those that don't aside than to focus the energy on the naysayers. So I hope that answers your question, Kath.
Absolutely. And I'm still chuckling over the urinal one. So, but no, I think it's about passion, isn't it? And wanting to do the right thing and cascading that passion without losing it. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
There certainly seems plenty of passion from you, Emma-Jayne, talking about it this morning. So if that rubs off, I'm sure it'll be successful. Peter Fleming, you had a question which looked very similar to Kath's. I don't know if there's anything you want to just add on to the end of that conversation there.
Morning, everybody. Yeah, and just very similar to what Kath said, and really just from my experience, because I was involved in organisational change for a large global organisation, is one, obviously not underestimating the time. But I'm just interested, Emma-Jayne, have you come to a point where you've actually got a programme of how that's going to be implemented, and how you're going to reinforce sort of positive behaviours, but obviously negative behaviours as well?
So we've got an engagement plan. And we've got a plan for obviously the launch and then the embed phase. What we'll also be relying on heavily is other projects that are already underway. What I don't want to do is build a massive team of people to do loads of more stuff, because then what you're doing is creating transformation. We already have that, and that's not what this needs. But what will happen is we have things like My Contribution, which was launched earlier this year, which is our new way of doing PMAs. That's all about having the conversation. So that will tie in. So people's objectives won't just be on the actual delivery of tasks, but actually the way in which they behave. With our new HRD coming in, we have a new people strategy that looks at how we address behaviours, how we look at behaviours. So it really is about that embedding over time. We know that this won't be embedded in 1 week, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 12 months. But the more people are talking about it, the more it's in the forefront, the more that it's embedded in everything that we're doing through our Leadership Academy, our Lead Image Standard, My Contribution. It's being put into our SLMs. It's being put into all of the processes that we have. That's how we'll make that change. But for me, Peter, I just wish, because I'm going to get a bit passionate here, but what I find really, really interesting is when I spoke to, I probably shouldn't share this, but I will. When Laser's like, it's being recorded. When I spoke to some of our leadership at Sellafield about our behaviours, a lot of them said to me, oh, but this needs to change, and this needs to change, and this needs to change. And at no point did anyone say, but I need to change. And once I launched the manifesto, I have quite a few friends who contacted me, and they're like, oh, yeah, this is really great, but, I'll wait and see if my boss does it. It isn't about anyone else's behaviour. It isn't about the CEO's behaviour. It isn't about the exec's behaviour. If everybody just did self-reflection and changed their own behaviours, the cultural change would take place. So I really want to try and push that and get our change makers to push that. If everyone just worried about their own behaviour, we would be such a better place.
No, totally agree. And I'll just share that we used to have a phrase that if you want to implement change, take a hard look in the mirror, because it starts with you. Yeah.
Great. Love that.
Best of luck. Yeah.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Peter. And Emma-Jayne, final question is from Mark Henderson. Mark, do you want to unmute your mic?
Good morning, everybody. Emma, just a question. Sellafield, over the years, has rolled out many types of manifestos to change the business, whether under the guise of BNFL or British Nuclear Group, and as it's now known, Sellafield. All of those with differing levels of success and failure. What difference what's different about this manifesto, and how are you going to measure this? And secondly, how does this dovetail into the NDA's vision for the future as well, if at all?
Yep. Okay, thanks, Mark. So, first of all, we've never had a manifesto before. We've had lots of different initiatives. When Martin launched this, he made it very clear this is not an initiative, it is a movement. This is being led by the CEO and the executive with full buy-in from our board. It aligns with the One NDA principles, and the One NDA, for those of you that don't know, One NDA have a handbook which kind of outlays how each of the SLCs should behave. And within that handbook, it states that SLCs can set their own behaviours. So the NDA are really behind this and really bought into it as well. This will be different because of the people that are leading it. So this will be different because there is passion and enthusiasm behind it, and someone that won't let it go. You know, until this is embedded in the organisation, we will keep on. This isn't just here for the short term. This will be here for the whole of Martin's tenure and hopefully beyond. This is about people recognising that a change needs to be made. We have never before as an organisation engaged with so many people in the organisation across all levels to actually create this. This hasn't been created by a consultant. There is no consultancy speak in here. This is just language by the people, for the people. Everyone that attended a workshop will see words in there that they said. It has ownership, and it has a really different feel to anything that we've ever done before. But it's a fair challenge, and a challenge that we're getting from our own people. And as they say, the proof is in the pudding.
Thank you.
Now, Emma-Jayne, I said that was the final question. Now, there is one more that's come in, and there is time, and I think it's relevant, so I'll put it to you. It comes from Dominic Doig. I believe the SME supply chain can effectively support and champion this change in culture, and we'd be keen to engage at leadership level. How can we help?
Speak to John Berry. So, John, as you know, John took over from me. He is absolutely fantastic. He's doing a great job. And any SMEs that want to get involved with the manifesto or anything like that, have a conversation with John. John and I obviously are still connected, not as well as I would want to because he's forgotten who I am. But he is absolutely the right person to speak to. He's taken over that lovely golden medal that I had to work with you guys. So please do speak to John about that.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Emma-Jayne. I'm sure there's lots to take away for people there. Very impassioned delivery as well. So we appreciate your time and sharing that with us this morning.
Thank you.
Okay, so we shall move on to our next speaker, and that is Tiffany Sollander. So I'm going to share some slides on her behalf. She's speaking from the Department for International Trade in the Northwest. So let me just share my screen, and Tiffany, over to you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the time this morning. I'm going to put my turn my video off just to save broadband width. Okay. So as I say, my name's Tiffany, and I'm from the Department for International Trade. Could I have the next slide, please, Andrew? That's great. So the next sort of 10 minutes or so, I'm going to cover exporting, what it sort of entails, just a snapshot for you, our global network, the services and support we offer, and are you ready to export, but really key opportunities here in the overseas market. Next slide, please. So with the advance of technology and UK maturity, export is more accessible for businesses, as you're probably aware. And it makes sense to spread your risk, whether that's locally, nationally, or even internationally. And if you can export your products and services, then why wouldn't you? It reduces risk, it increases profit, and there's some few statistics on the slide here that you can see. Actually, it's a great opportunity. Typically, a business starts exporting as a result of an overseas inquiry or hears about an opportunity they can deliver. And that's usually how it starts. Next slide, please. So the Department for International Trade are responsible for encouraging foreign investment and export trade. And there are 2,400 staff worldwide, working across 174 embassies and high commissions, and we're all dotted around about 109 countries or so. And my role as an international trade advisor is to work directly with the embassies and high commissions, as well as the nuclear sector teams in London. And you may be familiar with names such as Tim Gilroy and Dr. Keith Franklin in Japan. So there are 35 of me across the Northwest, 2 in Cumbria and myself included. So not many to go around. Although I do work with a nuclear specialist, I also work generally across the exporting board. And that may help with exporting queries, or if you're looking at new markets, or you've been trading overseas. I'm going to run through a few services and support offers, and hopefully you'll find these helpful. Next slide, please. So just to sort of zoom through these fairly quickly, market information and research, we offer a market intelligence introductions to new markets. And these are great because these are backed up by the high commissions and the embassies with webinars and online presentations. And when we can go overseas, we call these missions, when we can go overseas, we can actually go and meet partners and potential buyers. At the moment, a lot of these are actually happening virtually, but they're still happening. OMIS, this is known as the Overseas Market Introductory Service, bit of a mouthful. This is a chargeable service offered by the individual embassies and high commissions. It's a chargeable service carried out by in-country market specialists, so people on the ground. And this could be used if you're looking for potential partners in your chosen country. For instance, if you're looking for a partner in Germany or a local agent in the UAE. The service is often used to save a company money, and especially where there's language and cultural barriers, this is hugely beneficial. Export control and shipping. We help businesses obtain export license of their products if required. We work with the export license team, and it's a free service again. It offers your business security and makes sure products are not being exported to markets with restrictions, such as military products that you don't know about or components that may be banned in certain countries. Export finance, UK export finance. We work with the government credit agency to help secure your export by offering insurance against non-payment in riskier countries. And then finally, intellectual property standards. Trademarks, patents and designs come under intellectual property. We can help protect your products or services by offering advice on the IP. Also, under intellectual property standards comes product classification. And if you're exporting, this is absolutely crucial. It's so important that the correct classification is chosen for your product, as this determines the duty and tariff charges for imports and exports. Next slide, please. So I know some of you already do export. Some of you are looking into it. So probably a few tips on how we can really benefit, or how you can help yourselves with looking at export and overseas markets. Whether you're an advanced manufacturing business or a design engineer or a consultant, your website, as you know, is the face of your company, and it's seen by potential clients all over overseas. So I'm sure you know you're the same. If you're interested in a potential business or want to find something out, you go straight to their website. This is the case for them as well, isn't it? You know, the only difference is maybe translation or cultural barrier. Think about your potential client and the markets you want to attract. If you're presenting to a client overseas, focus on your track record and capability first before the history of the company. They've only got so much attention span. They very often want to know what's on offer immediately. Track records. Many of you, I'm sure, will be part of Sellafield supply chain, and this is a huge opportunity for export and should definitely be utilised. So many overseas markets want UK businesses with a track record. And Cumbria's Centre of Nuclear Excellence, and Sellafield is obviously world renowned. This does set you apart from competitors and adds strength when demonstrating your capability and unique selling point. It's also worth looking at partnering with UK businesses, those who complement yours. This offers stronger capability against overseas competition, and this is also true for overseas trade. Consider local partners in country, and this approach will offer more opportunity for your business. Next slide, please. Okay, so these are the opportunities I'm going to talk you through. And the DIT works across the nuclear life cycle and focuses on markets and regions where there's a clearly defined role for government. So let's start with China. And it's a snapshot, so there's not a huge amount of detail in it, so we can move on to that later if you want to contact me afterwards. So there are 48 operational reactors, 11 under construction. And there are opportunities in waste management and decommissioning, such as demand for materials recovery, problem waste and decontamination techniques and recycling. Here, specialist equipment and services are required, but your business needs to add value. So think about that side of things. And there are also considerable market barriers and potential policy changes. And as I say, each country is very different. They work very differently. In Japan, there are 40 operational nuclear reactors. And the three key market opportunities are decommissioning, the Fukushima site, and research facilities. Doing business in Japan is very different to other markets. A long-term strategy and focus with partner collaboration is absolutely vital. There's trading houses which we always advise you to approach and do business. And I believe Marubeni is actually a BECBC member. So it's definitely worth contacting them for information on Japan. The Middle East, focusing on UAE and Saudi Arabia. Again, the culture is similar to Japan in that you need to have a local partner it's the preferred way of doing business. UAE, KIPCO are building 4 reactors at Barakar with opportunities in research and development collaboration. In Saudi Arabia, the market is focused on new build with plans for up to 17 gigawatts and are investing $80 billion here, although geopolitics makes program direction quite difficult to predict. Again, local partner collaboration is essential in this market too. In France, the largest export opportunities for UK businesses are the ITER Fusion project, decommissioning market and waste management, and also research projects. I believe the research projects, they're quite limited in value, but there's still opportunity there. In Finland, there's the construction for VVER reactor, which is due to commence in 2021. And all of these, when I sort of give you information about this, unfortunately, there may be delays due to COVID, so we need to sort of have a look at which ones are still continuing on the right lines. In Germany, there's $50 billion worth of decommissioning opportunity. Although Germany has a well-developed nuclear supply chain, there's fairly little experience in decommissioning. And also, due to the political nature of the shutdown, there's considerable pressure to deliver on time, which is good. Sweden, they're decommissioning their 4 oldest reactors with opportunities worth £8 billion. Next slide, please. Again, we will share these slides, so if you miss any information, please don't worry. Moving on to Central Europe now. Bulgaria has seen part decommissioning of a Kozloduy nuclear power plant with a nuclear reactor planned, and the preferred site is Belenay. Czech Republic, 2 operating nuclear power plants in Dukovny and Temelín. And there's also a potential announcement for 2 new reactors expecting this year. Hungary, there are plans for 2 new VVER reactors. With Lithuania, with an ongoing decommissioning for Ignalina. And I believe that this is definitely on hold due to COVID. So for those that don't know about it, there's opportunity here too. In Poland, there are great plans for nuclear power in order to reduce the country's reliance on coal. In Romania, new build plans for 2 CANDU reactors and planned construction of phase 1 of the low-level waste repository. In Slovakia, there are 2 nuclear power plants at Mokovoz and Bohonice, and ongoing discussions for low and intermediary level waste dry storage facility for spent fuel in Slovenia. It's quite a lot of information to take on, I really appreciate. And then final slide, please. And the Ukraine. Ukraine are keen to reduce dependency on Russia. They're looking for the West in both technology and investment in their nuclear plants. But there are some key opportunities for UK companies here. And final slide. Thank you. It's a very quick overview. I'm conscious of time. If you do have any questions, if you want to speak to me individually, please, my details are below and I'd be more than happy to help. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tiffany. A couple of questions that came in, but I think first of all, Diane has said she's amazed at how many opportunities there are listed there, and she was just curious as to whether there was anybody within the cluster who is actually involved with anybody. I don't know if there's a quick opportunity while I go to Ivan, who also posted a question for you, just to let us know in the chat if you are actually involved with any of those contracts or projects that are ongoing. So, sorry, Tiffany, go on.
No, I was going to say, so I have links with the high commissions and the embassies. So the best way is I put businesses in touch with them, and then we can go from there. So I'm kind of like a sort of stepping stone to the actual country or the tender.
Okay, Ivan, you had a question. You want to unmute your mic and just ask that to Tiffany?
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Sorry, I'm not sharing. Sorry, I'm not got my video on because I'm struggling with broadband. Thanks for that, Tiffany. Given the importance of relationships in international markets, not actually just with the customers, but in sort of past experience with the desk officers from DIT, in current circumstances and what looks like, for a reasonable period of time to come, that sort of normal human to human interaction, flying over, meeting people, etc., is really, really difficult. Just wondered what, if anything, DIT is planning to do differently, is doing differently, that can help businesses build those all-important relationships?
We are actually working quite closely on Teams. We're actually setting up a lot more digital virtual meetings, actual meetings that we never really had. So actually, it's actually beneficial in this time. I know I set up a number of meetings with myself, the overseas teams, and potential agents, and obviously clients over in this country too. So actually, it's benefiting the way it is at the moment.
Thanks, Tiffany. So, sort of a daft question here then. If there's a business out there has a target market, keen to engage, you can, potentially DIT can do almost like sort of specific boutique type things to sort of link businesses up and have meetings and arrange introductions, etc. Is that something that you do?
So initially, the best thing to do really is if I can try and understand what the capability is, which markets they're looking at, and then obviously I can make the introduction to the team out over whichever market they're looking at. And then they'll have a look at, what's relevant. If there's an agent that's suitable, if they already have somebody who actually is potentially interested in it. So I think the first initial thing to do is contact myself, and then I'll speak to Post to see if there's help and opportunity there.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Thanks, Ivan and Tiffany. Just one comment in the chat since asked for any involvement in current projects, and David Buchanan has posted that yes, they are involved in some international opportunities, and a little hat tip there for you and your team, Tiffany, saying that you've been very helpful. So
thank you, David. I'll pay you later.
So I expect for those who are interested in any of those opportunities, get in contact with Tiffany, and it sounds like there's plenty of help and support available, and potentially some good opportunities to get involved with as well. So thanks. No further questions for you, Tiffany. That's all. But thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, so we'll move on to our next speaker, and we've got Phil Leigh, who is up next, and then we've got a quick update on the schools collaboration project, and then we've just got a single 3x3 before we go into the optional networking, which will be probably around about 20 to 12 thereabouts for a quarter of an hour, and we should be on track to finish at 12 o'clock. So Phil, I'm sharing your slides again. So Phil, Professor Phil Leigh from RTC North, he's an innovation and growth specialist, and I'm also going to be sharing slides on Phil's behalf. So I will just put those up now, and over to you, Phil, when you're ready. Okay,
Thank
Phil,
you for that.
Yeah, coming through.
Introduction, Andrew. I hope you can hear me all clearly, and it's lovely to be here at the Britain's Energy Coast Business Cluster meeting. And I'm relatively new. I just started this month as an innovation and growth specialist at RTC North. I do know some people here in the audience and have worked in Cumbria before. I was at the University of Cumbria at one point, and have worked as an SME and in industry, in the electrical engineering industry within Cumbria as well in the past. So basically, RTC North are like Innovate UK's sort of boots on the ground. We're here to support mainly SMEs in the context of why I'm here. And also I focus on Lancashire and Cumbria. So for us, I'm based in Lancaster, but I have a real focus on our area. So I really want to support, and hence I approached to come speak at this event. I want to make sure I can really give you guys in Cumbria an opportunity to access Innovate UK and RDC North opportunities. We operate right across the north. We have offices in Sunderland, head office there, Leeds and Daresbury, and hence the appointment of myself in Lancaster to really support this kind of end of the northwest. So next slide, please. So what do we do? And I'm going to talk a little bit about innovation and growth services. And what we do is we're supporting businesses in identifying and securing new clients, things like client retention, access to new markets and marketing, even infrastructure, building space, digital, removing unnecessary business costs. Is there some R&D planning and innovation required? So we're looking at things like this, and reviewing and revising, implementing business models, because one thing we do is scale up and look for growth. So if there's an opportunity you want to grow, come and speak to us. We'll support you on that. Supply chains have been mentioned this morning. So we look at that, we can view, we can develop it. Where are you in that? Do you want some support? We're also a sounding board and a critical friend to SMEs and business. So again, if you need some help in these challenging times, we can help support in that sense as well. Next slide, please. So who are we? Our services are kind of focused on ambitious, what we call ambitious, innovative and high growth or high growth potential companies and SMEs who really have a product, a service, something, technology they really want to develop that could be disruptive and, as I said here, revolutionise existing and new markets. And so we do work internationally as well, so we work across the UK, and we can help open up those up, as our colleague from DTI just mentioned before. So there's links across there as well, and really, if people are familiar with the TRL levels, technology readiness levels, we're really looking at companies that are way up that TRL ladder, sort of 5, 6, 7, and we can get them through to 8 and 9 and get them to market. If there are people really low down on that and have got an idea, we're happy to have a discussion, and it might be that you really need to go and talk to even a university first to get that idea off the ground and develop, because it's really at an R&D stage. We can support that, and we can do all signposting. So we're more than happy to do that. Next slide, please. We're really here to continue supporting and what we're calling existing and potentially new high growth SMEs. And obviously there's the impact of COVID. We've just seen new measures announced last night, new potential restrictions that make things challenging, and even more home working things. At the same time, events like this really keep the channels open for us to keep communicating and keep working. And again, that's what we're here for. So you really must use us. So let's keep that going. And it's really helping to drive that productivity as well. We want to improve productivity and link into economic growth. We've got to keep that going. We've also got things like Brexit coming down the line. So that's other things to keep in mind about how we might move things forward. Next slide, please. So, as we've said, suitable companies, SMEs are the key things we work with. Anywhere in the north, so we've put there Cheshire, Cumbria, Lancashire, but it's also Merseyside and Northumbria, Yorkshire, Teesside and Humberside, so all that area. And as we said there, buyer innovation, having an ambition to grow, but if you're not growing but you've got innovation, that's fine as well. And you can be very small with potential. If you've got some real potential, we're interested to talk to you. We look at a lot of Innovate UK funding competitions. There's a smart grant out now that closes on the 25th of November. My contact details at the end of this. These slides will be shared as well. So again, contact me, we can support that and the application to those kind of funding. We can signpost into those kind of areas. So yeah, next slide, please. So and again, these are some of the areas we cover. So things like vision and strategy, market readiness, the innovation process with things like business strategy. What's your internal capability? Do you need some business model enablers and or leadership skills, opportunity to grow, due diligence, compliance, regulatory support, collaboration? Can we bring people to, we like to bring people together, and sometimes 2 + 2 = 5, so we'll look at that. Results, what are the outputs there? So bringing novel products and services to existing or new markets is important. Identifying overseas and UK markets, innovation, management capabilities, and then things like IP, intellectual property, IP audits, IP management. We'll look at those things, and then finance for growth. So that can be equity finance and many other areas. Next slide, please. And this is the final slide, really, with contact details. And so you can see there's three key offices and those numbers and those offices. There are still some people going in and out of those offices on a fairly irregular basis, but you can get through on those numbers. And so on top of that, I put my email address, where I'd be happy to take any queries or areas, or if you want to engage with us in any way, please do. And so in a nutshell, innovation for growth services is that's it from RTC North. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Philip, do we have any questions for Philip? It doesn't look like there's anything showing in the chat just at the moment. Just give anybody a very quick opportunity if they've got any questions for Phil before we move on to our next speaker. It doesn't look like there are, Phil, but thank you very much for your time. Very much appreciated. And we will move on to our next speaker, which is the schools collaboration project update. Now, let me get Vicky's slides up. So our next speaker is Vicky Ritson. And Vicky, if you want to introduce yourself while I pop your slides up, it's over to you.
Thanks very much, Andrew. Morning, everybody. Really nice to be back in front of you. It's been a little while, but the new academic year has started, and we're already in touch with schools and looking at what we might do to help them going forward. So you might be thinking that there's not a lot we can be doing at the moment, but it's very much not the case. We've seen some interesting national reports coming out, and in the last couple of weeks we've been speaking to schools locally about what they'd like to do, and they do feel that now, as much as ever, employer engagement is really important. And the key thing for us is how are we going to do that? How are we going to facilitate that going forward this term and on through the rest of the academic year? So how can you help? We've already had some requests, which is good. Could I have the next slide, please, Andrew? The theme, particularly this term, is that we need to be working virtually to start with as schools settle in and as we deal with, obviously, the issues that are coming forward now. So we've got three particular requests up there. We'd encourage you to make a short video, 3 to 5 minutes long, no longer. What we're trying to do is to aid post-16 and post-18 choices and transitions. So particularly helping our Year 11, our GCSE cohort, to think about what they're going to do come next September. The theme here would be to talk about your career journey and routes. So we're looking for a variety of routes. Those individuals who've been to college, who've done sixth form through to uni, or who've taken on an apprenticeship and where that's got them to. students that we can link up to their old schools, so that the students can say, this is where I might go, as a student at this particular school. We're also working with year 8s and year 9s on GCSE option choices, so trying to link subject areas with careers in the future. And I don't know whether Ruth's on today from Moreno, but Ruth's done us a little video on using languages, choosing languages at GCSE and where that's led her in her career. So if that resonates with you, please come forward, talk to me about making a little 3-minute short about that journey. Our mock interviews have always been popular with schools, and we are very much keen to put these on in a virtual setting, in a virtual format. So we've got 2 schools who are keen to get going. So we've got bookings for early November. If you could take part in those virtual mock interviews, do get in touch with me. It will be no more than an hour, and you can do it from your armchair now at home. So no travelling into school. You interview probably 2 or 3 students in that hour, and then you're back to your regular day's work. Some schools are keen to keep that interactive element to their employer engagement. So we're looking for volunteers for live linked sessions, live Q&A into a classroom. So you see your bonny face up on the whiteboard at the front of the class, and you'd be able to, facilitated by the teacher, you'd be able to have two-way conversations with students in that classroom. So if you're keen to do that, because you're all Teams experts now, then please do get in touch with me about that. Now, obviously, I've been out of circulation for a few months, and I may have missed that you've already prepared something, or your organisation has prepared something that could be shared with school. So if you do have something like that on the go, would you please flag it up to me, or pass me a link or something that I can use, so it can go on our shopping list for schools, so they can look and see, there's this, that, and the other available, and I can forward it to them based on their selection. Can I have the next slide, please? So if you've not already joined in some of our schoolwork and you're a bit camera shy, then we've got just the thing for you coming up. On the 28th of October, we'll be running a short workshop. That's myself and Diane Richardson. We're a well-used team now, so if you'd like to join us on the 28th, we're just doing an hour session again, 10:30. Hazel has the details. They will be on the website. Engaging with schools in the new normal. Lots of hints and tips about making a video, about what the two-way links will be like, about the virtual mock interviews, and how you can engage with those. So please do, if you're thinking about it, if you'd like to take part but you're not sure, please do get in touch or enrol for the workshop. That's me, unless there's any questions.
Thank you, Vicky. I don't think there's any questions, but just give people a quick opportunity to make themselves known in case there are any quick questions. But otherwise, I'll prepare you, Diane, for the next session, because we are going to go into the 3x3, and we will need, I believe, it's your egg timer today.
I have it ready. I have downloaded an app especially because it wasn't good enough using a clock. So, Daniel, are you ready for your moment of fame?
I think so, yes. I'm just going to have to speak very quickly now, that's all.
Now, hopefully they warned you about how vicious I am with my egg timer.
Okay, right, okay, well, let's see.
Let's see how we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so hi there, my name's Daniel McRoberts, and I'm here today to represent my team Revolutron from the Nuclear Graduates Programme and our SME service, the Care Pack Collective. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the programme, pretty much every year the cohorts are split up into teams, and we're given a challenge to set up and run a business, and that's why we set up the Care Pack Collective. So before I tell you about our service, I just want to give you a brief bit of background which led us to start making this service going. So over the course of the year, as the effects of COVID-19 have started to take hold of the country, the government had introduced measures to put homeless people in temporary accommodation. And so Unfortunately, now this measure is coming to an end, which is actually going to result in a drastic increase in the number of people who are going to be rough sleeping as we approach the harsh winter months, which could be catastrophic. So that's why we've decided to start the Care Pack Collective to support this community. Essentially what our service is the distribution of care packages that contain mental wellbeing items and essential items to homeless people. So how do we do this? So what we're going to do is we're going to retrieve donations through our website and social media campaign that we're setting up. From these donations, we'll then procure items to assemble these care packages at the hubs we have set around the UK. Once we've assembled these packages at our hubs, we're then going to deliver these packages to charities that work with homeless people, and they're going to distribute these into the homeless community. So you're probably thinking at this point, this isn't anything new, like this has been done already. So we've got a few things that make us a bit different. So firstly, we're introducing the mental wellbeing items into our packages. This isn't really done already. So items like sort of a support card, which gives people numbers about people they can contact, sort of information about where they can go to receive support. We're also going to be including, we're going to start setting up a social media movement as well, which is going to sort of tell the stories of people we're donating these packs to. So we're going to carry out interviews with homeless people and see if they want to share their stories to really create that connection between the recipient and the donator. And thirdly, we're trying to look to sort of increase our item donation as opposed to financial one. This will improve the sustainability of our project and will also sort of like reduce costs in terms of procuring items. However, COVID-19 is making that a bit difficult at the moment, so we'll see how that goes. So yeah, basically what's fundamental for this to work is engagement from charities. So far we have engagement from 2 charities, Calderwood House in Cumbria and Streetwork in Glasgow, that are willing to distribute the packages for us. We're starting with a fairly small number so that we can actually get, sort of figure out how this service is going to work and refine it. So when we actually do start to expand the number of charities we work with, so that we're good to go then. So ultimately where we are just now, we're setting up our bank account, we're setting up our social media and our website, and we're distributing trial packs at the end of this week. Hopefully we're going to be up and running within the next month, and thank you very much for paying attention. I think that was under time.
You were dot on. Did you hear the cockerel crow?
Yes, I did.
Great to hear you working with Calderwood though, Daniel. It's a great local charity.
Yes, it's been really good working with them so far. They've been really enthusiastic, which is great.
Back to you.
All right. Thank you, both of you. Now we are going to go into the networking session. We've still got 30 people involved, so it should be a good session. We'll break down into what looks like 5/6 people in a room, and I'm going to allocate those automatically. So they'll all be done at random. I can't see who's going to end up in which room, but hopefully you will find the networking worthwhile. And we'll run that for 15 minutes as well. So that will take us to just short of 12 o'clock. And then obviously we'll have a quick summary from Ivan and round out the meeting. Obviously your feedback is also valuable. If you can't stay for the networking, we understand, but please do let us have feedback. And we're always looking to gather feedback to be able to improve events that we host. All right, welcome back, everybody. I hope you found the networking session useful. It is always difficult when we allocate the rooms because we do it at random. It's based on the number of people that are in the meeting at that point. Of course, if people then decide not to join a meeting room or they decide to leave, they've got other commitments and so on, it can just mean that some of those groups get a little bit smaller than we'd first anticipated. Like I say, hopefully you found that to be a useful session. Okay, it is just 12 o'clock. We're exactly to time. So Ivan, I'll just hand over to you quickly and you can close the meeting. But thank you everybody for your contributions today. And finally, just before I do hand across to Ivan, please let us have your feedback. I mentioned feedback earlier on. We have a Mentee slide, which you can see on screen. Please go to mentee.com and the feedback code is 7493414. And that will just tag your feedback to this meeting. And like I said, any feedback is always gratefully received, and it just helps us to shape the planning around future meetings and events. So over to you, Ivan. I'll leave those the details for the feedback up on screen while Ivan summarizes and closes out the meeting. And over to you, Ivan.
Thanks, Andrew. Just a big thank you to everyone for contributing. Big thanks to Hazel and the team Andrew, yourself for making this happen. Just a reminder to people that, you know, we are here. So if anybody wants to engage one-to-one or in whatever way, then please feel free to reach out to people on the board that you know. If you don't know people either, then, you know, please reach out. We're all there to help out. And just keep safe, keep looking after each other, and look forward to seeing people next time round. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. That closes out today's session. Stay safe, take care, and we'll see you at the next event.